Welcome back to Card Corner. Today we're going to be testing out and reviewing some new fanning powder from Squareup Cards. All right, here it is, the new fanning powder from Squareup Cards. I have never, ever used fanning powder. Now, kids, if you don't know what fanning powder is, essentially, if you have a deck of cards that's really pooped out, really sticking together, clumping up, not fanning, then you can use fanning powder. It's supposed to silk up your deck and make it brand new again. I've always been weary of fanning powder, like a little worried that it might ruin my decks and stuff like that. Not that that's like based in any substantial like evidence. It's just like, I feel like a personal like paranoia. But Squareup Cardistry have their own secret sauce with this recipe, apparently. They've blended up their own cocktail, which they claim is an upgrade. And I did bring a deck over here that is basically on its deathbed. So if it were to get ruined, which I don't believe it will, it's not much of a loss, you know? But let's just check it out. Let's see how it works, and you can decide for yourself whether or not you like it and if you would maybe like to try some. So here's the container it comes in, just a plain sleek white container. It says fanning powder, premium quality, Squareup. It's got the Squareup logo on top as well. It's got a message down here just saying, please don't eat this. Damn it! I was going to eat this. And then on the side here, it also has application instructions. Not only does the bottle have application instructions, but Squareup Cardistry actually released a video tutorial on how to apply your fanning powder correctly. It's got a pull tab. Not really, it's just like a little sticker. Before we continue with this video, please make sure to like it. It really helps out my channel. And of course, if you'd like to see more playing card content and reviews, you should subscribe. You can even hit the bell button to get notified when new videos drop. Back to the review. Oh, I wasn't expecting it just to do that. All right. Jake, what have you been doing on this table? Nothing, just rejuvenating my cards. All right, what deck am I using today?
This one.
I'm sure you can tell from the box alone that this deck is beat. You know what? That's not that bad. It's not that bad right out the box. Let me do some cardistry with a little bit. Let me get the juices flowing. I know for a fact this deck is very clumped. Sometimes when you pull it right out the pack, you know, it fans for like half a second, but then once you start doing moves, it starts to clump a bit more like this. All right, that's pretty bad, I'd say. That's not a great fan right there. There are multiple layers with just like big chunks of cards sticking. All right, step one for fanning powder. Fan the cards. Now, I'm pretty sure the name of the game is as little as you can. You want to be sparing with this. So that's what I'm going to do. Just some light taps. You know what, brother? I don't think this is open. There is just some excess that spilled out, basically. Oh yeah, there we go. That makes a lot more sense. I'm going to apply just a tad bit more. All right, next you're going to close up your fan with the powder on top of the deck like so. You're then just going to rub it in. Try to get some even layers here. You're just gonna keep rubbing in to the sides over here until you more or less see the powder disappear. Very silky, obviously. This feels very silky, which is good. That makes sense. All right, next step is to faro your cards like so. But then what you're gonna do is you're gonna come over like this, push them on top of each other like so, and then you're just going to align them like that. The container says to do about 8 times, so that's 1. All right, we did that. Another tip I saw from them is to do basically a complete individual card run through like this. So that's what we're gonna do. Next, you're going to overall just inspect your cards, see if there's any like chunks sticking out. So far, these look pretty good. I'm not seeing any like chunks of powder sticking together or anything like that. I feel like these have spread out quite a bit. And then the instructions from there is just to like shuffle your cards a bit, you know? Do some springs, knock off any residual powder that might be left over on these cards by doing some stuff like some springs. Do some actual Pharaoh shuffles with the bridge. Wow, holy crap, dude. Look at that. I'm a believer, down in my mind. Holy crap. That's crazy. That's actually way better than I thought it was gonna be. Not that I don't know. Again, I've never used fanning powder before, so I can believe it, but it's different when you actually do it and you get a result like this. Wow, look at that, dude. Oh, like a brand new deck of cards. That's crazy. Now, I've heard some conflicting things about fanning powder, which I will just briefly go over. So you're supposed to use fanning powder to de-poop a deck. But I've heard a lot from cardists who prefer to use fanning powder to poop a deck. How can those two things be? I will say, you can definitely feel the fanning powder on these cards. It does leave like some sort of residue that you can feel. Now, I think that's what cardists are referring to. Because when you have a brand new deck of cards, right out the box, you just opened it, they're super slippery, right? Some cardists, you know, when they want to film a video with a new deck of cards, if they're too slippery, they'll use fanning powder because it will leave some sort of residue on there and it will like essentially change the way the cards feel and the way that the cards will grip. So I don't believe it's necessarily pooping the deck, it's just making it feel different. Now, would I recommend using fanning powder on a brand new deck of cards? No, I wouldn't. You are gonna change the way it feels, but would I recommend using fanning powder on a deck that's at death's door like you saw just now? Yeah, for sure. Because you know when you have a poop deck and you can feel the grime and the grit on it, you can feel the dirt and sweat that have soaked into this poor deck of cards. Adding the fanning powder residue to that grit feel, it's not gonna change, you know? It's gonna relatively feel the same. You're not gonna really notice it. And you get to do this with your poop deck again. Very, very interesting. What a first time use. That was pretty cool, I will say. All right, fanning powder, dude. All right, there you have it, the new fanning powder from Squareup Cards. Huge shout out to Squareup Cards for sending me this. Now, they may have sent me this, but they didn't pay me or anything like that. So I don't have to say this next part, okay? Would I recommend this product if you're interested in getting some fanning powder? Yeah, I definitely would. My first experience with fanning powder, and I really, really liked the results of it. Much more than I anticipated. Yeah, it's like magic. I thought it was flawless. Brought my deck back to life. I think it's really cool. You get this container, which should last you a really long time, for about $15. That's the same price as a deck of cards. And right now they're also running a sale on their site where you can get a deck of cards and the powder for 25 bucks. Pretty sweet, if you ask me. If you'd like to get yourself some of this fanning powder, I'm going to link it in the description. Like I said, first time user, it completely exceeded my expectations. If you've ever thought about picking up some fanning powder, I think it's definitely worth it. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, let me know down in the comments, what do you think of fanning powder? Have you ever used fanning powder? Do you have fanning powder? Do you not have fanning powder? Would you like to have fanning powder? Let me know what you think down below. As always, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.